Good morning. It's Tuesday, August 12th. I have the fan on because I'm really hot. And so if my hair goes all waka waka, you know why. How is everyone? How are we doing? How's the end of the summer wrapping up for you? I tell you, we've got one grandkid who started school yesterday, another grandkid who starts in 2 weeks. The summer is winding down. Hey, let's talk about it. Well, last week, Lily was here, my 11-and-a-half-year-old granddaughter, and she did her pop star camp. And we went to the performance on Saturday, and it was a riot. It was cute. And this was the very first experience that Lily had had performing on stage in this way. She's very active in sports when she's back home in Las Vegas. Her dad's side of the family, they're like into all kinds of things, and she's very active, which I totally approve. It's fantastic. So we wanted to give her a little arts experience, and I think she enjoyed it. I don't think she loved it, but I think she enjoyed it. But one of the things she got to see during the camp was she got to watch a rehearsal for the musical Mean Girls. And she said, that's what I want to do. I want to be in a play. So maybe next year we'll make that happen. Let me tell you, that trek back and forth from Long Beach to the Fairfax district is not for the faint of heart. And I have to give Sam all kinds of props for making that drive, because it's not fun. Even on a good day, it's not fun. So Saturday after the performance, we walked over to the Grove. No, we drove to the Grove. It's just down the street. But let me tell you, parking at the Grove, that was an apocalyptic event if there ever was one. We walked around and we walked over to the farmer's market. And for those of you not from Los Angeles, there's an actual physical place called the farmer's market. And it's been around forever, maybe since the 20s. But as a child, my grandfather would take me there. But we walked around, scoped it out, and we found a cute little Mexican restaurant. And we sat out on the patio. Julia and I were like, oh, this is so European. And the kids were like, oh, chips and salsa. So it was great. So we said goodbye to Kirsty. Kirsty had come down, got to spend time with my other daughter. And Kirsty and Lil drove home that afternoon. And let me tell you, Saturday afternoon, I crashed. I slept, I took a nap, and I slept 12 hours that night. So obviously, having grandchildren around all the time is exhausting. And I didn't even have to drive. But that was a wonderful thing. And it's interesting to see where these kids will go. But I think it gave Lil some confidence. The thing about Lil, she's 11 and a half, and she looks like she's 16. She was a head taller than every single girl in that class, and some were older than she was. So there you go. That, I don't know if she felt uncomfortable about that. She didn't say anything. So I think she thinks her tallness is a superpower, and indeed it is. Backing up to a story from Europe that will lead into what happened yesterday. So when we were in Europe, my daughter, why am I talking about? Anyway, my daughter and I had very different elimination issues. Read between the lines. Mine was too frequent. Hers was not happening. Got what we're talking about? So while we were in Europe, she was massaging her abdomen, trying to get things moving down there, and she found a lump. And, you know, anytime someone says the word lump, panic ensues. Although my very first statement to her was, I bet it's a fibroid. And she was like, I don't even know what that is. And I said, don't worry, you will, because you're related to me. Because my mom made fibroids, my sister made fibroids, I make fibroids. We're fibroid makers. It's better than some things. The lump is there, and when we get home from Europe, she calls the doctor. I don't know if I've talked about Dr. Lowe. Dr. Lowe and I grew up next door to each other. We were childhood playmates, and now my daughter sees him as her physician. I would, but he doesn't take my insurance. So, and also, he's a little crazy in a good way. I love him. So Dr. Lowe says, no problem, let's get you into an ultrasound. So yesterday was the ultrasound, which is where our story begins. I went with her because I believe no one should have to go to a doctor's appointment where it could be scary by themselves. When I was 34, I had cancer. I've discussed this with you before. I had to do all of my appointments by myself. Not fun. I wanted there to support her. So we drove the 15 minutes to the place. We go upstairs, and this office, it was dark and quiet. Like no one was talking. There was nobody else there. It was kind of interesting for a doctor's office, right? So we get called back. Julia notices, she said there was no greeting. It was like the nurse was lurch and she just kind of beckoned to the room. There was no, hi, how are you this morning? It was just here and take off your bottoms and get on the bed and cover yourself up. I mean, that was it. So already we're a little bit, Not 4 minutes later, the doctor comes in. Excuse me. The doctor shuffles in. And I have to say, I wasn't entirely sure the doctor was going to live to the end of the appointment. He could have been actively dying. Okay, Julia came up with the perfect analogy. Remember Zootopia? Of course you don't, because you probably haven't had kids for a while. But in Zootopia, there's the sloth that works behind the DMV counter.
2 9
THD03.
T
HD03.
H
D03.
Are you following what I'm saying here? Literally, this was the man, the doctor. He picks up the ultrasound thing and he reaches over here. It's literally this slow. He's reaching over here and he picks up the ultrasound gel and he moves his hand over and he tips it. And then he said, seriously, this is how fast the man was moving. It was terrible. Julia's like, what is going on? He's doing his thing. And those of you who've had ultrasounds when you're pregnant, you know that tech can get in there and just dig that baby in there and find that baby. You know what I'm talking about? This guy just took the wand and he just set it right where Julia was pointing, and he didn't move it the whole time. And he was doing all kinds of fancy things. Excuse me. Pay no attention to my fingers, because those were definitely a sped up version of what the doctor was doing. Allow me to demonstrate. He was pushing buttons on the ultrasound machine to get different views of things. Anyway, ultimately he said, hey, I think it's a fibroid. And I went, we make fibroids, because I throw things out there. But seriously, there was zero interaction between the doctor and Julia. He was just, seriously, it's a wonder the nurse didn't have to like pick him up and shuffle him out the door. Sweet, kind, I don't know. There wasn't enough personality to tell. The overwhelming thing I want to tell you is he was old, like old, maybe 89, maybe 120, not sure, but ultimately good news. So that report will go back to Dr. Lowe. Dr. Lowe will decide what he wants to do with her. I know that when I had my hysterectomy, the doctor told me my uterus was the size of a 5-month pregnancy because of the fibroids in there. So there you go. Super fun. Making growths, doing our thing. Gotta love uterine things. They're just crazy. We can all relate, right? Those of us who still have our uteruses, I don't. Anyway, that was the stories of the week. So, knitting sitch. Finished my sister's socks. They're done. I'm almost finished with Wicked Stepmother's birthday presents. It turns out she's getting 2 things because I found a pattern I've never knit before, and it was super fun. So after I get these off to the mail, she's traveling on the mainland, so I'm going to send these to Hawaii, so they'll be there when she gets back. But she's going to be watching this, so I'm not tipping my hand, Nina. Her birthday is in 3 days. So happy birthday, Wicked Stepmother. So the knitting is good. We wound some balls of yarn yesterday. We're moving through the stash. This is good. So yay for that. Books. Okay, we're back reading again, and it's been great. I finished The Spy Coast. I think I mentioned that last week, that I finished that. That was really good. The first in a series of The Martini Club about retired CIA agents by Tess Gerritson. That was a fun book. And I'm reading 3 books right now. Allow me to share with you what they are. I'm almost done with Park Avenue. It is really good. I'll probably wrap that up today. It's a fun novel. It reminds me kind of Crazy Rich Asians. Is that what it's called? Crazy Rich Asians. It kind of reminds me of that energy because it's about a Korean family and a wealthy Korean family. But there is so much character-driven goodness in this. Funniness, poignancy, and just really you're interested to find out who's doing what and how is it all working out. And you're told throughout by this anonymous narrator that the information you're getting is not reliable. I love that. The narrator actually tells you that the story they're telling is unreliable. So I'll let you know how that goes. I'm likely going to finish that. I'll tell you about it next week. I am also reading Under the Stars by Beatrice Williams. Again, this is a dual timeline. It's kind of a 3 timeline because we were in the 1800s with a boat crash. We're in 1994 with her mother's story, and then 2024 for the girl's story. It's good. Nothing is tying together yet, but it's interesting. The characters are interesting, and I'm enjoying it. So there's that. And as I announced last week, I started The Art of a Lie. So it's in parts, and there's a different narrator for each part. So I got through the first part, and I was like, I don't know, this is kind of boring, and I don't really love it. And then the second part took over, and we get another narrator who's filling you in on more of the story. And yeah, now I'm interested in this story. So this is about early 1800s or late 1700s in London. We've got a death, we've got inheritance, we've got things. So I don't know. I'll let you know about that when I get a little bit farther into it. But that's the reading sitch this week. I found out I'm somewhat disappointed, and yet I'm somewhat copacetic with the whole thing. So our first concert for Camerata Singers, we're starting rehearsal in just a couple of weeks. Our first concert is the Big Sing, which is a nationwide choral experience where choirs open themselves up to people in the community who wish to sing with them. And we're doing that in October, and we have a family wedding that weekend in Denver. So I just found out today I'm not going to be able to sing in this concert, which means I won't be singing until November when we start Messiah. But c'est la vie. It's the way it goes. Family takes precedence. And besides, it's going to be a great wedding in Denver, and we're excited about that. What else is on the docket? Coming up, I have an eye appointment this afternoon. I'm very excited. I'll be able to see. I can tell that this eye has really gone wackadoodle, and I'm seeing more out of this eye, and it's usually the other way around. You know, getting old is interesting. I didn't wear glasses as a child. My mother and sister were very, very nearsighted. I have vision like my dad, which just went to hell at 45 when I realized I couldn't read anymore, and each year it's just getting worse and worse. Now I have to wear glasses all the time to see distance and close up. I don't know what my eyeballs are doing, but they're healthy. They just can't see anything without glasses. How did people do this in the Middle Ages? Oh, they died before their eyes got bad. Got it. Okay. That explains it. I'm just moving along here. We're reading the news, and we're setting the news aside and wondering what we can do to survive what's going on. And we do it. We survive by joining together in love and kindness and compassion. And so my wish for each of you, as it is every week, may you have peace in your life, in your home, in your work. May you enjoy good health, family unity, close friends, a lot of laughter, a whole lot of laughter. Bring silliness into your life. It's a wonderful medicine. Just have a great week, and we'll see you next Tuesday.